asparagus chicken frittata. Now, frittata is kind of a fancy word for an omelet where everything is cooked in it as opposed to cooked separately and added in. But you can do it either way, actually, so there really is no good definition. But we're going to use asparagus in this one. You can use other vegetables if you have them. You could use finely chopped broccoli, you could use finely chopped carrots, you could use most any kind of vegetable, and leftover vegetables also work really well. But with the asparagus, what you want to look for, if you have it, is thinner asparagus because it's going to heat through more quickly. So the skinny asparagus is the best use for this particular dish. The other one, you're just going to have to chop up more. And if you get to know people that like asparagus, you're going to find that there's that massive debate between them as to whether it's better to get thin or thick. And there are some pluses to each, and there's nothing wrong with either. So I've got 2 teaspoons of margarine in the pan that have melted, and to that I'm going to add 1 cup of fairly finely chopped asparagus. Now, because this is thin asparagus, you do not have to peel it, and it's going to cook through fairly quickly as well. And then I've also got 1 cup of red bell pepper, and I do like to use the red here. A lot of times I use what I have, but here I like to use the red one because it gives such color contrast. Now, also to this I'm going to add 6 ounces of cooked chicken breast or chicken thighs, again whichever you happen to have. It's already cooked, so all we need to do is warm that through, and we're going to cook the vegetables for about 4 to 5 minutes. It's going to vary a little bit depending on the size of your chop and which particular vegetable you're using. Also going to add 1/4 of a cup of chopped onion to this. And finally we're going to add some herbs to it. I've got 1/4 of a teaspoon of dried thyme, 1/4 of a teaspoon of dried oregano, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. We're just going to stir all those together and saute them for 4 to 5 minutes, as I mentioned. Now, if you use the thick asparagus, you are going to want to peel it, as I mentioned. You don't have to peel it all the way to the top. You just want to peel it up until you get about to here, where you see the fronds are going to form out later. So peeling it that much. Some people like to also peel it enough to get away the little bits that are coming out on the side. The other thing that you need to know, and there's again debate on this one, is where do you break the asparagus, or should you break it at all? A lot of people say that you always break it so that where it snaps, that's where this part is going to be woody and you're going to throw that away. A lot of other people would disagree that there's a lot of good asparagus here and that you're wasting a lot of good asparagus. So whether you're growing it yourself or you're buying it at a farmer's market or the grocery store, wasting is never a good thing. So check yours over. If you find that it's a little woody, you can also peel it down, and that will make it work a little bit better. So again, a lot of ifs, and, or buts when you're working with food as to what's the best solution. All right, I'm going to let this go ahead and saute for just a couple of more minutes, and then we'll go ahead with the next couple of ingredients that we need to put in. The next thing we're going to add to this is about 1/3 of a cup of cheese. We're just going to sprinkle that over the top. And you could use whatever kind of cheese you happen to have on hand. I'm using a cheddar, but the other varieties of cheese would be equally delicious. And then I'm adding 2 cups of egg. Now these are egg substitute that I'm using to keep the cholesterol count down on this one. If you chose, you could use 2 cups of whole eggs. Just make sure you beat them well. You could also use 2 cups of egg whites and discard of the egg yolks, and that would also keep the cholesterol down. High protein item. We want to stir this just a little bit, but most of the time when you're working with a frittata, folks do it one of 2 ways. They either put it in the pan and cook it for a little while and then flip it over and then put it back in the pan and let the other side cook off. I'm not that good at flipping, so we're going to try a different method. Another alternative method, if you're working inside, would be to put it under your broiler for a while and get that top part of it done that way. Again, we're outside, so the broiler's not an option. So what we're going to do is set our timer for about 8 minutes. Now I've got this on a medium heat, and we're just going to cover it, and that's going to trap the heat in. It's going to cook the top as well. It won't get it as brown, but it will get it to the point where it's going to be safe to eat. All right, let's take a peek and see how it looks. Oh yeah, nice. Now what you'll find is that if you're doing this in the house, you probably will not have quite as much breeze, so it'll go a little faster. Then you're just going to cut it into wedges. This should serve at least 4. depending on if it's going to be the main part of your meal or it's going to be, stretch it a little further. You could also serve 6 from this quite easily as well. Either breakfast or brunch or dinner. It's very, very versatile. So we're going to try and get the first piece out and get it on a plate. Now, as always, the first piece is the most uncooperative one, so you may have to work on it a little bit to get them out. But it's really, really good. I think if you try this one, you'll have something that you're going to like for, again, breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, late night snack. It's asparagus and chicken frittata, but feel free to change up the vegetables any way you'd like. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.